everybody. How are you all doing today? Hope you're doing good, and we'll be moving on with these little Bretonian dudes. Now, unfortunately, I've come down with a bit of a cold, so I will be of fewer words than usual, and I'll keep myself muted for the most time, because there will be a lot of throat clearing and sniffles and all that. So it is very possible for me to commit the ultimate heresy and start talking while on mute. I apologize in advance for that, but we'll give it a shot. So yeah, there might be a little bit more disgusting than usual, but apologies in advance for that. Apart from that, nothing different. Gonna go through. Gonna keep blocking in colors. Got a bit more work to do on this night blitzer, and we'll move from there. So this is still not in any way the interesting part of the whole project. Just moving through the motions pretty much and blocking in the colors so we can get a better idea how the model is going to look in general. And then we'll start adding in some shadows, highlights, and essentially making the areas that we want pop, and mute or dim down the areas where we don't need that much interest. I decided against going the whole metallic, so metallic base and mixed up contrast paint over it for some of the other models because of the matte varnish that will be applied at the end as a top coat. Because that will diminish the effect, and it would also make it very difficult to match the process of highlighting and building in shadows, because I will have to take into consideration all of that before while building up the metallic color base. And I will not have the ability to play around with the warmth of the shadows that I intend. For instance, I would like the yellow to have a warm shadow and the green to have a cold shadow. And to maximize contrast, I'm going to try and highlight the green warmly and the yellow coldly. Not really sure how I'm about to achieve that. But we'll see. Might just be something that will fall through at the end and just rely on the shadows. We're gonna see that as it develops. So, was anyone able to join yesterday when played a few rounds of Blood Bowl game opposed to painting? The good thing about all of this is that I am able to identify the areas where I need improvement. Bad thing is that I'm not really sure about how to go to fix them. For instance, having a general game plan, especially for the attack, and whenever I have to act proactively, I mostly have a reactive mindset, especially when on defense. So I have a very bash-minded approach to the game, which isn't particularly applicable when I'm not playing teams that are suited for this style of play. I am sacrificing way too many models to base higher strength opposition players. I do want to try and immobilize them, because humans don't necessarily start out with a lot of bash in them, apart from the 4-block blitzers. And I'm kind of relying on them to carry through most of the game. I'm gonna try to protect them as much as possible. And the 2-minute turn timers sort of push me towards being very narrow-minded in terms of game plan, and I automatically default building a cage, which is pretty much a last resort, really. There are so many more ways, more efficient ways to keep the ball safe instead of caging. And the reason why the cage isn't a good method of advancement is that it pretty much locks out 5 of your players, or essentially half of your team, basically. And you're only left with 6 to do most of the heavy lifting against a full 11 that the opponent would have. Meaning that he will inevitably swarm the cage and bash through the wandering 6. Also, game timer, something I didn't used to have a problem with, like turn counter, does now become an issue. I'm advancing too slowly when I'm on offense. But we can talk more about that tomorrow, when I will once again put in a few hours of Blood Bowl on stream, that is. Mostly filling up some time. I do hope this stupid cold goes away pretty quickly. trying to warm myself up as much as possible. Central heating has come up today, so that's gonna help a lot. I won't need to run the AC, get heat in, and that's good because the AC dries the air like nobody's business. And that doesn't work well with a sore throat, as you can imagine. Right on. Still pondering on what opportunities I could have with the chosen color scheme. Or to bedazzle the models a little bit. Because at present, there really isn't anything that makes any of them pop. Pretty simple approach that I've chosen. I'm looking for an idea. Just pick at least one detail and give it a little bit of an extra treatment to make it stand out. Or, you know, you can just go through the motions the way they are and at some point in the future just go back and work things out. noticed a few annoyances in the model here and there. I'm gonna address them just as soon as I'm done painting the tights on this dude. Difficult to get into. But not impossible. Also, I'm getting a bit too focused in the model, so if I happen to run out of frame or out of focus, please be so kind as to note it. I'm trying to throw a quick view every now and again into the preview window. I might miss it. Soon I will be moving into metallics, and that'll probably be a little bit more visually interesting. As opposed to Xandri dust. Which I don't think showed too well on camera, and as I am working off of a bright primer. But it's a step process, and we're gonna go through it. Just be a little patient and we'll get to cooler stuff. Probably not this stream though. Metallics will probably take up the majority of it. Then we'll get into shading and highlighting, which is where the arguably cool bits will start happening. That being said, I am really gonna go over with a very simplistic process of treatment. And hopefully during, over the course of it, I'll get some ideas. You can probably see all the mold lines I forgot to clean up. But it's too late to go back to fix that now. Alright, so gonna make a few corrections on the green. And then we're moving on. So the point being that the green is not centered here on the loincloth. Need to extend it a little bit. That'll probably do it. Here on the chest as well, you can see the angle from the breastplate going down, and I'm still a little bit off. Let's just quickly fix that. And there we go. And here on the back as well, this line should go a little bit further to the left. That being said, covering up yellow with the green is much easier than the other way around. So this might actually become my preferred approach for the rest of the models from the team. There are a total of 19 models. I'll be using the team as both Brettonians and human nobility. At some point in the future I might get a couple of extra, well, 4 extra catchers and build the halfling that comes Kickstarter, so I can substitute them for humans, like the regular human team as well. Seeing as how I already have a dedicated team to be used for humans is not a priority. So here is the surface I intended to initially treat with metallics and go over with yellows and greens later on. Instead, what I'm going to do is cut it diagonally and go like this. The upper part green, the lower part yellow, and for the other thrower I'll just go and do the opposite. Something else I decided is that I'm going to alternate the pattern, well, the sectioning really, in between the same positionals. So these are green from the left and yellow from the right. The other thrower will be the opposite, and where I have more than two, I'll go into the crisscross section. So I'm gonna go upper left, lower right, and so on. Just for that extra little bit of diversity, it's not going to slow down the process, and might make the models a bit more fun to look at. The playlist today is behaving pretty well. Pretty sweet tunes. If you find any of the tracks or the theme as a whole interesting, you can check it out at the upper left hand corner of the screen. Is the name. You can see the names of the artists as well as the name of the tracks. I'm using Pretzel Rocks for the audio since it does play royalty-free music. We shouldn't have any problem broadcasting it. And I have chosen a synthwave station. A, because it's as I kind of like it, and B, while being nice to chill out, it also has a little bit of energy into it. So it's not gonna put you to sleep or anything, hopefully. If, however, it is very annoying to you, do let me know. I can always change it into something else. Merely my own personal preference. What about keeping the soundtrack in theme with whatever project I'm working on? The last one being a cyberpunk project. And so synthwave played in kind of well. But with this epic fantasy, whatever, doesn't really work that well. But whatever. If you have any questions, anything at all really, don't hesitate, type it in chat. I might not be constantly monitoring what's going on, but I am keeping an eye out every now and again. Again, apologies if I'm too quiet, but my throat is pretty sore. Particularly thematic song by a band whose name I just adore. Love the pun. Occam's Laser. Yeah, sorry about that. Again, forgot to mute. What else can I ramble on about? Oh yeah, so if anyone has experience with like an in-depth experience with photography and videos, and if anyone has used an action camera like a GoPro or something like that, have you ever tried to shoot in rooms with artificial light? Because I know these cameras are mostly used outside, out in nature. But there are a few properties that might be very helpful for me to use as a paint cam instead of the webcam that I'm currently using. So if you have any idea on that, if you have ever used it in enclosed space, artificial lighting and all that, what are your thoughts on color calibration and, well, all of the other settings and properties of a quality video? Oh, another topic that I meant to pick up was a little bit of PC talk. I mean computers, not political correctness. I'm not about to start expressing any in-depth opinions on that. However, with the upcoming release of Blood Bowl 3 for PC around May of next year, a thought has crept up on me that it may be time to upgrade a little bit the old rig. I did check. It's actually a 5-year-old machine. So far, essentially the lifespan of your general console generation, I think it's 5 years that they cycle through. So, might be a bit early to retire the old boy. Especially considering that he is keeping up. So, might be giving me a little bit of trouble maintaining good temperatures, especially CPU related. But the graphics card is still solid. I did a little bit of stress testing with some benchmarks about a month ago, and the GPU holds out pretty well. It's just that it's very old as well, and as such, NVIDIA doesn't do any more driver support for it, meaning any new titles that I try to run gaming-wise, it will have to compensate any optimization downsides with pure muscle, which it does not have. So again, if I will raise this topic again once we get a bit more people in chat. But if anyone tech savvy happens to find his way in, I have a few questions about components. Surrounding myself with liquids here, but it's to be this way. So this was another dude I intended to use the whole contrast gizmo on, but I've decided against it, so I'm just gonna fill in the blanks. Again, playing around with the patterns. So the inside of the teeth of this pattern will be yellow and the outside will be green, because that is the color that touches closest to the green, so essentially just alternating the colors. Maintain a variety. And for anyone wondering about the paints that I'm using, these are water-soluble acrylics. They are non-toxic and are pretty easy to use. They are a very happy medium between the thickness and opacity of oil paints and the thinned out and more delicate nature of watercolors. And I've been having some musings on that topic, and I came to the conclusion that we're drawing knowledge, we as miniature painters are drawing knowledge from three main areas. First one being the scale modelers, paint mostly, you know, tanks and military scenes. And their approach painting is using the enamel paints with good coverage, maximum opacity, and resorting to quite a bit of tricks, so to speak, in order to recreate close to realism as possible within a miniaturized model. Things like weathering, paint chipping, rust, oil streaks, and all that. What they don't do, however, is create depth of color. Again, in the effort to be as close to realism as possible, they stick to essentially just the paint that is closest to whatever the historical colors of the models were. And this is pretty much the way that GW approaches their painting tutorials. We, of course, being Games Workshop, the main miniatures manufacturer and paint manufacturer for the hobby. And by main, I just mean the largest one. However, this doesn't necessarily need to limit how we as miniature painters approach this. And a lot of classically trained artists that dabble or make a complete professional move into miniatures have implemented a lot of the techniques that are used with whatever their preferred method of painting is into miniatures painting. Predominantly things like glazing and wet on wet, loaded brush, feathering, and so on. And sometimes when we start off painting miniatures, it may be a little bit overwhelming to choose the proper techniques to approach painting. And something that I haven't heard anyone mention particularly, which means that I may just be very much off and talking out of my ass. But the main artistic techniques, as opposed to more craftsmanly techniques that are used in scale modeling, can be split into two main categories. Ones that come... Hello, Saima, what's up? Honestly, I came down with a bit of a cold, so my voice is a bit shit today, and I apologize if I'm too quiet or if my voice comes out too coarse. Or if I am a bit fewer words today. But apart from that, it's all good. Getting the chance to paint some models and have fun. I was just about to talk about some other bullshit. The straps on the boots. Well, I am taking a little bit of artistic license here, and I am going to make them metallic, even though it is obvious that they are something soft with a stud in, so it should be a different type of leather. However, just to maintain variety and not keep any one area too plain, I'm gonna paint them metallic, probably silver metallic. Nothing too special there. Trying to keep the whole project a little bit simpler than usual because there are 19 models and I kind of want to go through it with them. Apart from the possibility of having some freehand done at some point, I can't really figure out any one thing that I can do to make something stand out. So it's gonna pretty much be a very simple GW type scheme. Meaning block in the colors, do a little bit of washing, and then top it off with some highlights. So nothing great. Oh, that's cool. How did the contrast came out? I'm not gonna use contrast paints personally, just because I don't really want to buy into a whole new range of paints. I really have nothing against contrast paints in general. What I did get, however, is the contrast medium. And there was a video by John Ninius, or Ninjan, where he experimented. It did work on top of that. Yeah, of course, yeah. It is the general consensus that it is not the all-in-one method to paint. You do need to clean up with additional highlights, and especially with leather, you want to add some sort of texturing. On previous models, I played around with a small brush, trying to pretty much make the highlights as tiny scratches. However, that takes a hell of a long time, so I'm gonna try something different for these. I'm gonna go with a small dry brush and use not take away all of the paint. Leave a little bit of a sticky consistency of paint and do some rough dry brushing because I want the texture to come out in this case. Yeah, I'm currently playing around with synthetics myself. They are a little bit more punishing in terms of pressure that you put on the model. Like, they are stiffer bristles in general, so they may give you a little bit of trouble if you're used to squishing the brush into the model. But apart from that, they're pretty good, and actually learning to apply as little pressure on the model as possible is a good thing in general. So I don't mind using that as sort of a training wheels. And also I don't have to switch between synthetics and natural sable if I want to paint metallics, like true metallics. They're easier to clean. Yeah, they have a shorter lifespan, but they're cheaper, so pretty cool. These are pretty expensive in terms of, as far as synthetic brushes come. These are the Monument Bomb Wicks, and I probably won't be getting too many more of those. I'll probably look into a cheaper solution, but I did want to check them out because they were very highly recommended, and I can recommend them as that I've been painting pretty much consistently over the course of, I don't know, 2 to 3 months, and they are pretty good. Like, you can see the tip is starting to fray a little bit, but you give them a good wash with good old Masters this concoction, and they're good as new. Some people say that this over the course of time does make natural sable a little bit frail when bristles tend to break off, but since this is a synthetic brush, I have no problem just mashing it and cleaning it out. Pretty okay. So also on the topic of browns, because that is a topic. What I found out to be very easy when you want to have different types of leather, and if you are using paints from within the Citadel range, a very easy way to differentiate different leather within the same detail is even if you base with Mornfang Brown everything or Rhinox Hide, I just don't have Rhinox right now, you can treat it with a different wash after doing the highlights, because if you're doing the highlights after the wash, it becomes a bit too difficult to keep in keep the tones of the highlights. So what I ended up doing is, for instance, boots and gloves and larger leather textures, I wash with the good old Agrex Earthshade, and if I want a reddish leather, I go for Carolberg Crimson. It is a violety red, and it goes really well over brown and gives it a very nice looking studded leather look. Let me dig in and I'll show you a couple of examples. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, so essentially just brown wash or whatever the red wash happens to be. So you can see here, because this is one of the models that has brown on brown. And so the straps here I have treated with the red, and the rest of the boots I treated with Agrex Earthshade. And you can see how they do stand out a little bit, even though they are straps over boots. And they are both based with the exact same brown color as a mid-tone, and just highlighted and then the you mean in terms of gloss versus matte? The Right, oh yeah, Citadel did implement washes that have a gloss and a matte finish. I just use the matte ones, so it doesn't really matter. Also, I do a two-step varnish process where I first spray the models with a satin varnish and then a matte over it. So the paint finish in and of itself ends up not mattering in the end. So I'm not concerned with the actual finish of the paints. But yeah, if you're keeping them the way they are. Yeah, exactly. So you don't get that was the point. So you can get letter on letter and make it look different, so it doesn't seem boring. That's pretty much what I wanted to show off. So I could technically do this for the leather straps that are on the boots here, but I just opted for a bit more variety in color. Yeah, cool. Cool. And yeah, I was about to say about the contrast paints and John Ninez's video. He suggested using just contrast medium with the Pro Acryl transparents, such as Pro Acryl transparent red and all that, and that it ends up being a pretty close mechanically type of paint. And since I already had the transparents, I might as well just pick up one bottle of contrast medium and essentially expand the range of possibilities quite a bit more, rather than just having to buy every individual contrast color. I haven't myself tried it yet. I'm gonna try it with the Gears of War miniatures from the board game when I ever get to them. But I think it's a neat idea in that you can use the same thing in different ways with just adding in a different medium. But we'll see if it works. I think it will. It doesn't really have a reason not to. So, we'll see. Do you have any more picks, be it in progress or of completed models? If you do, I would love to see them. I do have a Discord server in case you want to use it as a dumping ground for photos and pics, whatnot. So feel free to join up. Okay, no problem. Just putting it out there. Oh, that's cool. How many seasons have you played in Rebel? I really enjoyed my time. Season 9. And currently it's what? I'm sorry, I just completely lost track of what's happening there. Oh, okay, wow, oh, right. Nice. I stuck around for a couple of seasons. And I did enjoy my time. I had a few, unfortunately both seasons had some early withdrawals of a player base. Oh, Vamps, dude, good luck with that. I mean, they are a very challenging team to play. I am pretty scared to use them. I like them a lot thematically, but I'm a bit chicken shit to give them a go, really. For now, at least. So yeah, I did have a very good time there, but just scheduling the games along with streaming makes things a little bit too difficult. And it's a shame, because I enjoyed the one-day tournaments that they host, and the alternate leagues that they have, such as the Lineman League and the All Elf League. Cripple Cup was one of my favorite formats. And the fact that they implemented a spin ladder. Clan, we were about to get into Clan with my local gaming group. We wanted to have an all Bulgarian clan, but we never managed to find the manpower. Because we are desperately trying to popularize Blood Bowl here in Bulgaria. And it's not going too well. Let's just put it simply like that. I have some plans on... Yeah, that's right. You're correct. Yeah, it would have been good. I would have liked it, but again, we just didn't have the manpower to the player base to register a clan. Also, isn't it true that you have to be in the main league in order to play clan? Like for the most of the other stuff, you kind of have to be in the main competition. Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Because I seem to remember it explicitly stated it, at least for Lineman League, for the Spin League, and the one-day tournaments. I think you had to participate in the main one, but yeah, anyway. For now, with my schedule currently being a little bit bonkers, I will stick to CCL and see how much I get out of that. I'm extremely rusty. I've never been good at it, but now it's just horrendous. And streaming it as well is adding a bonus layer of challenge to actually verbalize your thoughts during play and in 2-minute turns. Alright, I got you. Okay, I guess I misinterpreted the whole thing then. And adding to the fact that even on tabletop I'm super slow to play. And again, not very good at it either. Still, it's a game that I really enjoy, and nice, I didn't know that. Cool. I'm currently making a push for Andy Davo's competition. I don't know if you follow him on Twitch. A very interesting format. I haven't particularly seen anything like this before, where you can build up your team in CCL, and then take it out of CCL and use it for a different tournament. And this is what he's currently trying to do. And the winner of the competition will walk away with a copy of Blood Bowl 2020, the board game edition. It's kind of cool. Now, I don't have a prayer to win it, but it's an interesting format because you can pretty much play your heart's content and build as many teams as you want, anywhere between 10 and 40 games. And then choose one of them, the one that just came out looking the best, and put it into a direct knockout competition tournament. So it's a lot less scheduling, but you get a lot more games effectively. So it sounds fun. I was meaning to get into playing a little bit more anyway, and that just came into the very, very right moment. So I'm currently building a human team for the CCL thing, but if it explodes or I manage to get it where I want it to be within, let's say, 15-ish games, I'll start on some Bretonnians. I'll get to both play Bretts and paint Bretts at the same time, which is cool. So if you find yourself with a little bit of extra time, and this sounds like an interesting tournament format. I saw that Sage is also building a league using the Chaos Cup rules. I'm not sure if that came across you. So-called low sodium league or tournament, not sure. But he will be using the exact same bots from Rebel used to generate the random skills. Which is, I don't know, a little bit weird considering this is pretty much Rebel's child. Chaos Cup. But then again, just more opportunities to play. I'm not gonna be there if that's you're wondering. I honestly cannot handle too many competitions at one time. Matter of fact, one is usually a bit too much. Yeah, that is cool, and also the nice thing is this is going to be a actual mechanic in New Blood Bowl. If you want to have fast development with random skills, there is a mechanic implemented in. You already have the tables set up. If you have the rule book that has been leaked, I'm not sure if this is the end version that we'll get when it releases, but it already has the tables prepared for you to spin on them if you want to have random skill developments. They've also balanced out at which experience, so SPP point thresholds you can roll on these tables, so it's pretty cool actually. Some people are against it and think it's a bad idea, but I don't really see why. Like if you want to have a thought out development, you can. If you want to have a random fun type shits for giggles run, you can just also do that. And that goes within any type of competition, which is pretty cool. It's up to each coach's discretion whether or not they'll use that or not. That's pretty sweet. So the reason I'm only now painting the shoulder pads and the front plate of the thrower is initially I wanted to see if I can paint a metallic undercoat, highlight it, and go over with a contrast medium and transparent paints to differentiate between the hard surfaces and the cloth texture. But again, because of the stupid way I go about varnishing the models, any effect that would have given would have not worked that well. Yeah, that is true. So, I haven't thought about Hypnotic Gaze, but I think Hypnotic Gaze was just a 3+. It wasn't an agility related check. And with the thing plus, it's just that all of these confusing +1 modifiers for attempts have been taken out of the equation and replaced with just built into the characteristic itself. So the whole Warhammer-like math that you had to do every time you did an agility check, so subtract from 7, add applicable modifiers and subtract negative modifiers is gone. It's just a 2+ base, and if you have any negative modifiers, you just apply them. That's gonna it doesn't really matter if you're experienced and you're comfortable with the rules, but if you're starting off and you follow this whole formula thing, it can become a little bit yeah. Although I do enjoy the fact I do like how they made Break Tackle work. So a flat +1 to dodge for strength up to and including 4, and +2 on strength up to and including 5. From 5 and above. Because that means Break Tackle is going to become viable for a lot more players. And combine that with general dodge, and you can get some pretty crazy players out there. Because you won't get as many stat updates, so you won't be able to modify agility as much. But you can give Break Tackle to a gutter runner, and all of a sudden, for the purposes of yeah, But for the purposes of dodges, he gains like a 1+ for the dodge. Meaning he jumps across a single tackle zone on a 2+, which is insanely good. We're gonna see a lot of different stuff. But there are some skills that have been obviously placed in just for the random roll tables, because they're so situational, like Iron Skin. Why would you give Iron Skin to? Why would you waste a whole skill to counter Claw, which has been nerfed anyway? Like, yeah, 2 heads and break tackle. They already have dodge. It's gonna be insane. Yeah, and there were some other weird ones. Like, I think pair of safe hands is something. Probably, yeah, that's exactly it. I think that they have been purely put so that you can like just by chance roll on them if you're going random. Just so that not all skills are useful. But there's just some that are staggeringly weird. Pass tree, they broke it up so you have a viable development for throwers, I think. So you have the one skill that helps out in short passes, one skill that helps in long passes. I think 2 skills that help with against interceptions and deflections. Essentially, they're giving throwers their own tree to develop into and just completely focus them on passing functions. Instead of, you know, giving them leader and maybe block and just make them a carrier. Now you actually have steps in which to improve them. Cool. We'll see, there are interesting things. I really like that they boosted Sneaky Git. This is gonna be a very... it's gonna see a lot more use. Yeah, you're right, but you're gonna have to save up a lot. And it is a little bit of randomness into it. So there is a window in which passing can be... but it does save on skill slots, yeah, you're right. I don't know, I think it depends on... if you're running a short league, you wouldn't really have the opportunity to gain enough SPP on anyone for a stat up. And in that case, you're gonna kind of have to deal with whatever you have in your skill table. Like a 7-game league, which is what we're running locally. You don't really have that ability unless you're gonna go multiple seasons with the same team. So, I don't know. But I do like the fact that they are mixing things up. They are going to create significantly different meta. And we're gonna see a lot of things change. I did play a test game as Dark Elves against Skaven, and one thing that really changes things around is the ability to jump over fallen prone players. I didn't think it would, but honestly, like, it made twice I was able to circumvent very, very difficult situations with just a single jump. And this is what counteracts the nerf that elves got in general, because they did get a little bit janked up. But jump counteracts that and again gives them a boost up. So in terms of balancing, I think they're doing a good thing. Letting passing skills, yeah, it's a... Yeah. It is a bit much. Maybe we'll see that reworked in the final version, but we'll see. It should be around very soon, I think. So November 11, I think. What's the Saturday around November 11? So the 14th. So I think it's gonna drop around November 21st. So essentially we got 3 weeks to wait and we'll get access to the rules. Yeah, that is something that has been into consideration, I am sure. And that kind of forced them to have some of these weird nonsensical looking skills. Yes, that is quite interesting. Going to help if with positioning. If you want to screen with your ball carrier, and you have like a deep screen, and you want to place the ball somewhere away from the screen and then continue in order to become part of the screen, and then have your ball carrier come back and pick it up and be in a safe position, it's gonna see a lot of use. What do you think about the oh yeah, for sure. What do you think about what they did with pile-on, the pile driver bullshit? I really don't like it. I think it's just a waste. I don't know why they wanted to nerf, like from 2016 edition onwards. Yeah, that it is better. Hello, Herbert. What's up? But the problem with pile driver is that you don't get to do your usual armor and injury roll. It is you do the fouling action instead of your rolls, instead of your general roll. At least that's how I interpreted it. Yeah, but it wasn't piling on that was ever the big problem. I think it was claw. Because when you think about it, claw was the only skill on the entire skill table that has a modification of a number that is over 4 in value. Yeah. Because claw is the only skill that can, if you have, let's say, a tree, you have 3. It lowers armor by 3, and that's a bit too much. Every other supplementary skill modifies things by 1 or maximum 2. So maybe if you think, I don't know, I really haven't looked into the math about it. But I think that if you had claw to be a modifier of 1 for armor, then pile-on wouldn't be that much of a... Oh, okay, okay. Didn't know that. You're right, yeah, that's my bad. You're right. That's true. Good point. Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll see how what they come up with now will work. I am optimistic. I kind of like most of what's happening. And I'm also very much looking forward to Blood Bowl 3. Chainsaw on a 3 is thematic there. Chop it down! But it is also a negatrait in and of itself, whereas Claude did not have any drawback. But anyway, I really don't want to sound like I'm whining about it, because that is definitely not my intention. Uh, it was usable. I'm just trying to think about whether or not that was a hole to be plugged in terms of the rules or not. Okay, yeah, that's actually a pretty decent decision, and it's not unheard of precedent. Just how you can't get grab and frenzy on the same player. So it is in the rules. It's not something monumentally different. Absolutely, yeah. Okay, yeah, I saw it. I saw it. Yeah. What would be the sequence if Juggernaut blitzes Wrestle? I think Wrestle trumps Juggernaut. I never thought about that. Or is it the other way around? I mean, if you blitz with Juggernaut, someone who has Wrestle, who makes the decision whether or not to trigger the proc their skill? Is it the defender or the attacker? Oh, because it's yeah, gotcha. Oh, Wrestle is in the rules. Okay, okay, sorry. Gotcha. Okay. Also, they nerfed Fend, or at least I didn't notice this before, because I saw that there is a little bit of an annex to it, that if it's part of a chain push, Fend cannot be used as opposed to Stand Firm, which can be used to block further chain pushes. Was that the same way before? I haven't really looked into it. Yeah, I guess not. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, because it's not a both down anymore, it's a push. Got you. I got you. I got you. Yeah, I don't recall seeing that added bit of text in the 2016 edition. I haven't bothered to reference it. But I was reading the skills yesterday for the 2020 edition, and that made me think. Just came across that. Only if he is the initial blocker. Okay. So again, just oversight on my part. Yeah, but that's the thing, I just didn't remember whether or not it was there in the old edition. So I'll be honest, I never really thoroughly read that anyway. Yeah, with that being said, it kind of does make logical sense. Yes, yes, yes. So it does effectively become the chain push stopper if it's in the mix of dudes. And also, another thing, again with this little added text that I don't recall from 2016 was Frenzy. If you combine Frenzy with Dauntless, I don't remember whether or not it had to proc both blocks, or if the first proc counted for both. I think it was still, I think it currently is still for each block separately. But now it is explicitly written in the rules. Yeah, Frenzy has to follow. What I mean is, in the case of Frenzy, do you have to roll twice for Dauntless for both blocks? Yeah, if you run out of movement and multiple block, yeah. And stab. Oh, okay. And if you run out of movement. Like if you've gone over your if your final GFI goes into the move. Into the first block, that is. Stab assassin. Stab frenzy assassins. Yeah. I don't know, I have a dream. I have a dream that I could make, that I would like to make them work. And my other dream is to make Helmet work, but I think that will be more viable now with the added... Because they give him Pro, 3+ Pro. So he can reroll, he can possibly reroll a failed chainsaw check. Kickback. Right, actually, let's put some paint on. Oh, I don't remember. The thing I remembered was the addition of Pro. Hmm. But even if so, again, it becomes a pretty viable player. At the cost of losing the Strength 4 chainsaw, which was Orcs or Chaos. One of the two had a Strength 4 chainsaw. I think Chaos. Or the higher armor chainsaw for Orcs. That is all being lost into the ether. For now, at least. But I think it's gonna remain like that because Helmet has been given access to all teams. Well, the other way around, but you get what I mean. And these are also pretty cool additions, the ones per game special abilities. Yeah, pretty much. Because they did already... like, the actual stats and players for Necro have already been made available, so it really isn't going to have anything new. Apart, of course, from possibly some fluff, which, I don't know. Bloodbow fluff really much of like. And that's not for any other reason other than the fact that the teams I make are rarely fitting in the Blood Bowl universe. I like adding some sci-fi bullshit into the players and kind of negates most of it. For instance, I'm gonna be doing some Necro Cyborg orcs no, but ogres. I got some Mechanothralls from War Machine and the Behemoth Harvesters from Scale 75. I'm gonna use those for ogres. And I'm going to have to heavily convert the Mechanothralls because they're a bit large-ish for Strength 1. Oh, it is, but like I said, the Mechanothralls I'll have to rebuild their legs. I have to cut them down and reattach somehow to make them shorter and smaller and goofier looking so that they can pass as strength 1 runts? What are they called now? Runts? And some minor stuff on the behemoths, because they're pretty much ready. Just to give them a bit of posability, and their weapons are mounted on their forearms, which means they have perfectly sculpted fists. I won't have to do bullshit. Yeah, I've heard that project before. I'm not sure if it was Viking Cop who was instigating it, but that is pretty cool. And also, because of how the Necron sculpts look, you don't necessarily have to paint them in metallic. You can make them look pretty good with bone colors as well. So that's actually closer to what you could get. Oh, okay. I'll check that. Yeah, I really enjoy being able to do different types of proxies for Blood Bowl teams. Just because, again, the game has been taken pretty much away from its fluff, and that liberates you from having to stick to some limitations. And you can go balls to the wall with all sorts of stuff. Our commissioner made Omni team from cultists that count as both Amazons and Norse, and they look pretty fabulous as well. They're not the Chaos cultists, they're the Age of Sigmar stuff. The beefier looking ones. And of course, Hubert the Lely's cats. I don't know if you've seen them. Hubert, if you want, you can share some pics of those. They're also real fun, and they can be proxied as multiple teams. They are kind of in the spirit of Graybow's chibi teams, like the orcs and the penguins. Yeah, but they're cats. Is there any good way to make metal look like tin? I don't think so. Can make it look like smithed iron or silver, but I think tin just looks way too close to silver. On this scale, at least. Apparently I'll have some serious cleanup to do. Because I'm not being particularly neat. I'm gonna go for a Kung Lao style hat. Or at least that's what I'm gonna... Not really, but they really look the part. I'm actually gonna take a few minutes break and get myself another cup of tea. My voice is starting to die on me again, and shitty cold is not making things any easier. So I'll be back in, let's say, 5 minutes or so. Meanwhile, I will leave you with the soothing sounds of whatever synthwave music is playing at the moment. Hello again. Back again with some tea. Can get this party rolling. Party, party. So unless my voice doesn't give it away sufficiently, I did manage to come down with a cold. So unfortunately we may have to postpone our live game. If that's okay with you, I just don't want to risk things right now. Borat voice. Okay. And the irony is that I managed to catch this silly cold exactly one day before central heating was turned up. So if my immune system held out for just one more day, this would have all been avoided. But oh well. Yeah, sorry, it's just, again, I'm 99% sure it's a cold and nothing more, at the very least, because the only living thing I've had contact with over the course of the last couple of weeks was a cat. So there is very little, but just I don't want to risk it and expose you to anything. That's why I'm also gonna keep myself on mute for more extended periods of time, because okay, alright, thank you. Because there is an extra helping of throat clearing and sniffles, and to minimize my disgustingness, I'll be a little bit quieter and mostly on mute whenever my throat starts acting up. Should be fine in a few days, but just in case. Still doing better than last year. Oh, what's this? Oh, nice. Oh my god, these are nice. For a moment, I thought they were a nobility team, but upon further inspection, these are Mordheim Imperials, right? Oh, they look so good. And I think that's non-metallic metal. Simple one, but a very effective one. Really cool. Look at that parchment. This is one of the best examples of parchment I've seen. Like done in a fairly simplest way. Super effective, super... And you can still even tell from squibbles. Mercenaries or Ostlander. Okay. And that ogre is... It does look a little bit stylistically different from the rest, but paint scheme makes him blend in pretty well. Okay. Wait. And also, these feathers, they remind you of anything? Yeah, a bit. By the way, what do you think so far? I think they're coming out pretty decent. I decided to also switch up the patterns between the different copies, the different versions of the models. So the other blocker will have the colors reversed, and third and fourth blocker will have zigzagging patterns, just to add a little bit of variety. And because I can't make up my mind whether or not I want to keep all of that. By zigzag, I mean, uh, I mean crisscross. So green here, and then green here, like on a diagonal block, and yellow here and yellow here. That's what I mean. And then for the fourth one, there will be again inverted. So they will be a little bit extra different. But since it's the same colors across all of the models, I don't think they will stand out as much. But at the same time, they won't be too samey. They are sufficiently simple sculpts, and you would need to put in a little bit of extra effort into the actual painting, which I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to do. I'll give it a shot. Kind of like the purple that Saima used. You remember the screenshots from last time? It really stands out nice. That's sweet. I tried to pull off a similar purple for the Grebo Dark Elves, but because the actual surfaces were so small, I really failed at it. And seeing it done on larger flat surfaces like the Bretts, it really... effectively, I'm seeing what I wanted to do, and I really like it. Well, in my scheme? Yeah, there won't be any purple here. Means I will someday want to redo the Dark Elves. Ooh, okay. Oh yeah, they're very nice. I saw the Kickstarter images. Yeah, if you want to make them look ghostly, you can work out from jade upward. You can make a very nice glowy jadey effect. Actually, you know what? Let's reference very quickly again the Martian color wheel that I found out. I really like showing it off because it has a very in-depth color system in it, and we can take a look and pick out a nice looking contrast color, complementary color. Okay. Why is it loading so slow? Where's Jade? Oh, around here, probably. Something like broccoli. Okay, broccoli. Like with that. So, direct complementaries to that would be hot pink, effectively. Dragon fruit, whatever that means. Red plum. So these might be a good secondary color for the jade. Yeah. And apart from that, you get, you know, greens on one side and blues on the other. More earthy. Well, the closest would be these orangish browns. Yeah, that's good. That's good, because that will be very striking. Like a bit, it looks a bit too much, actually. Yeah, but you have here orange browns and tan is kind of close as a complementary, so it can stand out, but not too much. Yellow ochre. For like cloth and dick flaps and all that. Yeah, actually, let me send you the link to that. So if you like it, and you can use it as reference later on. I don't know if it would be useful to you, but again, I kind of like it. I rarely make use of it, but it looks kind of detailed and can help along. Oh, alright, okay, sorry. Sorry, apologies. Do you have a theme for the team, as in the team name and player names? Because that might also help along sometimes with the paint scheme, and vice versa. Also, Hubert, for your orc team, if you haven't decided yet, I have some ideas that just came to me. Okay, you can share if you're feeling like it. So for the orcs, you can go with military puns. I think that might be fun with a little bit of orc twist. Like the team can be called the War Zone, and then player names based on the positional. You can have things like major incident or private parts, like major incident for, let's say, the troll, and general carnage or general issue. The goblins can be something like rookie numbers or rookie mistake. And again, with the spelling, you can play around to make it a little bit orky, like some emphases here and there. But yeah, just came to me. I would have wanted ideas like this to come for my teams, but apparently a bit creatively blocked. I'd like to paint them either red or blue. Yeah, nice. I think red would be better. It just stands out better next to green than blue. Oh yeah, sure, not a problem. Like literally just something that came to me out of nothing, out of the stupid ether, and was just meaning to share. And you're going with green skin, right? You're not gonna make some weird, fancy, non-green skinned orcs. Although these ones in particular have quite a very little flesh. They're pretty concealed within their uniforms and gas masks. Yep. But yeah, there really is very little flesh on them, now that I think about it. See, these chainmails are one of the places that I really want to make them look more interesting, but I just don't know how I can make chainmail look interesting. Apart from just wash and highlight. And they're not a small detail, so it weighs the model down. Looks cool, but I don't think I've ever seen anyone paint them in a different way than just different types of silvers. I want to be original. Yeah, I mean, the point is that there really isn't that much of an alternative to that. Unless I want to make it gold, which is kind of dumb. Quickly fix up the brown I missed. As if it never happened. A little bit early on, I'm going to paint these face guards just to remind me that they're gonna be silver, because when I try to paint whatever I can of that face, I'm almost sure to pretty much nullify anything I put on right now. But I'm doing it just as a reminder. I wonder if I'll have the willpower to keep batch painting them in 4s. If I do, that's gonna speed things up tremendously. And it will also help with the consistency of the patterns. Definitely though, I've mentioned this before and I'll say it again. Very, very fun team to paint. Simple in terms of detail, saturation, and at the same time very characterful. And it's very refreshing after the lights. Has anyone already seen actual sculpts of the cheap breads? I don't. Was it Norska Kickstarter? The one that had a Brett's team for like 25 euros. Has anyone actually seen sculpts of those? Because if they manage to make them like at least quality that like this, and they get other projects and include fantasy football in them, I think they might become a game changer. Because design-wise, they are very similar to these. And it's mostly going to be a matter of casting quality. That's going to determine whether or not they ensure future successes for their Kickstarters. Yeah, indeed. But they are split into the different pledges, so you don't necessarily have to get all of them. Maybe. Overall design is kind of similar, but yeah, I think they are. I mean, you have to cut something somewhere. You want to get a quarter of the price level. Yeah, I heard it on the Bonehead podcast that they're going to make them the proper new scale. And it's interesting if that's going to up the price though, because if they calculated their stuff for 25 mil or 28 mil, I don't know if going 32 won't punch up the price. Either way, it's an interesting phenomenon, is why I bring it up. Because there really aren't that many like cheap alternatives that don't really follow the old design standards. And even amongst those, again, that's not necessarily a guarantee price-wise. But again, we'll have to see how they end up looking. And also what their designs will be for any future Kickstarters if they get to that point. An interesting thing to just keep an eye out for, I think. Follow along what happened. I've also been following the Bonehead podcast suggestions for the league and tournament builds. They're a bit weird, but what they most definitely managed to do is keep up the hype. Apart from that, the content is a little bit. At the very least, we don't really have anything set in stone yet. But it's cool. It's always inspirational to listen to someone passionately talk about a hobby. And it is really keeping up my enthusiasm. It contributes to it. Probably not gonna be able to finish up with the metallics today. They are starting to take shape. So I'm really enjoying these metallics. So much smoother than Citadel stuff. I don't think they're supposed to be the best or anything, but just because of my limited uh, base of reference. Just buttery smooth. And cover in one coat. and have a decent shine to them. Also, this dark silver is probably the best base color that you can get for silver metallics. Apart from just black, which, by the way, is a very viable option. Just using pure black as your base for silver metallics. You want to have really strong contrast. Tomorrow I will be continuing my miserable CCL attempts. See how far I can take the humans before they explode into little tiny bits and pieces. Which, considering how much of a sacrifice I easily sacrifice linemen, so it probably won't be too long. Currently played 10 games, 3 games. I'll give them the 10, which is the minimum. Take a look at the development, and if they're in a good place, I'll just park them and start with the Bretts. When I get 10 with the Bretts, I'll look around for any like short-term improvements that could be made. Try to do them in a few games as call them done. Just saw a problem that needs fixing. Line or something. That's not the part of the helm. Unless they have antennas or walkie-talkies. To get info from the coach. Let's try and go through the blitzer. That's probably what. So next time, go through the golds, clean up the spills. Yeah. Did I mention it while I was on mute? Yeah, sorry. Bound to happen. Yeah, try and get a couple games in. I don't know if I'll have time for 3. Or the willpower for 3. Oh, that would be great. That would be great, because if my throat is still sore, I won't be able to talk as much, and that will be a bit of a burden off my shoulders. Much appreciated. Yeah, I'm gonna try and get the 10 games with the humans and park them for a while. Get the 10 games with the Bretts, and then take a look, see if they are if either of them are viable at that point, or if they have completely become trash. And maybe give them a few more games. At least one of the teams a few more games over the 10. Let's see where we get. And then I'll choose the one that came out a little bit better, stats-wise, for the tournament. I currently have a decent SPP spread, so as long as they don't just die, they might become decent. I think I'm gonna spam guard as much as I can. Like 3 blitzers with guard. The ogre already has guard, and one of the blitzers I'll build with mighty blow and a little bit of kill. One of the catchers I'll build with sidestep. One will have sure feet and sprint. A little bit of tackle here and there. Again, not really being very creative. Yeah. Ball sackers will probably be relegated to linemen if I get any level ups. I'll build one with wrestle, and if he survives long enough, I can give him tackle. Another one will be a dirty player. The others will get block. The blitzers, again, 3 guards for first kills, 1 mighty blow. The mighty blow will get tackle as the second skill. And 1 or 2 of the guards will get stand firm as second skills. And not sure where to go from there. The thrower, I'm gonna skip leader. Gonna go straight to accurate. Because I'm always banking on the 2 turn touchdowns with humans. It's the only thing that kind of gets me out of a tight spot, that works sort of consistently. So he'll get accurate as first skill and then maybe block. I'm thinking about substituting the thrower for another catcher and give him sure hands and maybe pass, but I'm not sure about that. Yeah, unfortunately. And if I get one catcher with sure feet, sprint, I might try to explode my brain with 1 turns, but that's really iffy. I don't know, I'm really not gonna be particularly creative with this. You know, I should learn to play basic stuff before trying to innovate, so to speak. So let's stick to the basics. Try and get the idea of them and move from there. I think I'll be doing the knee pads in gold, because otherwise it will be too much silver in one spot. I'm just trying to break up the colors here and there. That game? Which game? Ah, I see, okay. Is this rage against one of the admins? That brought on this. Interesting that he still hasn't shut down the comments, the post. Yeah, I guess. But then again, if you know about the game, you've already lost the game. The only problem is that it has a little bit of a mean spirit origin. Apart from that, it's a pretty fun thing. I might have to do some inking on the greaves, because otherwise it's gonna end up looking a bit flat after the varnish. And here the part between the shin and the feet probably gonna be also made in gold later on. Alright, just a little bit left. Meanwhile, let me know if you have any preferences for a raid. Would you like to go over to a Blood Bowl stream or painting stream? I'll probably be done in like 15 minutes tops. Today is Wednesday, so I think Rick is on. Blood Bowl. Brush for Hire is on. Sure. Who else? Take a look. See who is currently streaming, but do let me know of your preferences. Or maybe, considering it's just the three of us, we might skip the raid entirely. If you don't have any particular ideas, always save them raids for when and if there are a little more of us. I'm gonna leave the ornament for now. I'm not really sure what I want to do with it. Probably just this part gonna be silver and the rest gold, but have a fresh look. I might sit down to the insignia. That's exactly what I was thinking. No idea really. Probably just maybe bronze to differentiate it and to tie in with the green. Like this. Yeah. The fleur de lis will need some extra attention, which is why I'm gonna leave it for now, because I'm a bit stuck on the idea. I would like it to be a third color of metallic, and I don't know, maybe I'll do some filtering over it. Like if I get a bronze base, build it up with light bronze, and maybe yeah, absolutely. They are pretty much the most challenging bit. But I do want these to stand out because they are different across all four blitzers. Oh, for sure. And also these greaves will need a little bit of extra attention because I don't want them to look as flat as they are, as well as this metallic cowl or whatever it is. So yeah, I'll have to look at it from a fresh perspective. Probably when I go over the golds, spend a little bit more time, think about it. But yeah, if you want, since I'll be calling it pretty soon. Do you have any idea, any preference, any stream that you would like to go over to, so that I would raid you over there, or like Blood Bowl stream or painting stream or anything along those lines? I'll take a look in just a moment to see who's on. Pretty sure Rick Reckless is on. And Brush for Hire for painting, but apart from that... Okay, that would be it for now. And I really need to wash this brush. So, let's see. Right, so Blood Bowl wise, we have Elliot, Yam, Chubstep is on, and Flicky Flack. Painting wise, got Brush for Hire, Rhymius, Monkeys with Fire, Holby, Fricka Friggy, and Pigeon Squirter, and the Nerdic. If you have any ideas, we can go over to them. If not, we can just skip the raid this time around. I'm gonna give you a little bit of time. And if not, it's gonna close it. Although we're probably gonna go over Pigeon. Last time he was doing a Lictor. Oh, he's going for the Orc bust. Oh, that's fun. Yeah, okay, so alrighty. We've been painting today, so let's go over another painting stream. Let's go over to Pigeon Squirter. Was it with an exclamation? Why did that elude me? Oh, / rate. Okay, okay. There we go. Alright, so, thanks for keeping around with me. Keep doing what you love, and loving what you do. I'll be back tomorrow to play some CCL. And until we meet again, have a lovely rest of your evening.